All right, guys, welcome. I'm Swanky Games, and today I'm going to try to teach you guys how to go about learning a character or a secondary character. For those who do know who I am, you'll know that I'm predominantly a Hwoarang player, but today I am learning how to play June. And I figured, you know what? Since I'm learning her, why don't I go ahead and push the record button, and I can walk you guys through the step-by-step on how I learn a character. If you guys end up liking this or finding it useful, consider liking and subscribing. The more that you do, the more it lets me know that you guys enjoyed it or got something out of it. And it also gets my videos out there, which ultimately allows me to help more people. Also, if you guys decide you want to help support the channel, consider becoming a YouTube member on my channel. That lets me know that you guys really like me, and you guys want to help with the channel's growth. And if you guys want to get a little bit one-on-one with me, whether it be coaching or good games or whatever it is you guys want to do, consider joining me on my Discord. I'll be putting the link in the description down below. There's a lot of really cool people there that are eager to learn and eager to get in some games, and if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, consider hop on over. So keep in mind that this is potentially going to be a long video or a longer video, and there's probably going to be bits and pieces that you guys are going to want to skip around. I will be putting timestamps in the description down below to help you guys skip around to good stuff. If you are kind of on the newer side and things are starting to feel overwhelming, please stop. When I say that, I mean, like, take a breath, take a break, go focus on what you've already learned. Just take it 1 or 2 steps at a time. You know, take a day, take a week, however you need. Learn what you can, learn what you need to, and then come back. I do understand that this is one video, but you can come back and watch different sections and get more out of it. Don't try to overwhelm yourselves, especially newer players. Don't try to overwhelm yourself with all this information. So there's about 10 steps, as well as a couple steps more for, like, if you're a little bit more seasoned. For right now, we're just gonna focus on step 1, which is gonna be probably the most boring part of the whole thing, which is going through their move list. I'm not kidding. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. My suggestion is go into practice settings and go down to player heat and turn heat off. Right? Because we don't want to go into heat right now. We just want to learn the moves. All right? So you want to go ahead and skip all this heat stuff. Skip the rage move and go to normal moves. From here, we're going to press the 2 button, which will be triangle on the PlayStation or Y on the Xbox, and you'll just try to do the move. So in this case, it's 1-1, which is perfectly fine. We're not worried about what the frames are or anything like that. Matter of fact, let's do this. We're not worried about the frames or anything right now, okay? We're just familiarizing ourselves with the moves, seeing what the character has to offer, and we're just seeing what we think looks cool more than anything. So just go through the move list. So like something like this might be something to keep in mind, because it's a 10-frame jab, which we're not quite there yet, with a high, that's a high and a low. This might throw somebody off in the future, so this might be something that I want to keep in the back of my mind. So that might be kind of cool. This might be something I keep in the back of my head. So the one thing you'll notice is I do have my second action here set to block all. The reason this is important is because I would hate to do a move like this or like this, and the second attack gets blocked, or the first attack hits, but the second attack gets blocked and I'm potentially punishable. This might be another thing to keep in mind. I might keep in mind about this low. pretty good low right here. It's a little slow, but we're not worried about the speed right now. So this might be something to keep in mind. So this might be a move to remember. This move too. And that's it. So once you go through their move list, you should have a general idea on what they can do, and if you like anything that stood out to you in particular. And you might have to go through the move list a few times to get a better idea on what it is you're looking for. But at the end of the day, that's the number one best thing you can end up doing for yourself, is just simply going through the move list. All right, so quick question. Show of hands. Who remembers most of the moves out of a move list? Nobody? Yeah, me neither. But it's still good to go through that move list just in case there's something that really stands out to you, and so that you do have an idea of what moves your character has, what tools are in their kit. Because the fact that you went through it, there might be a problem you come up to later, and you might remember that there's a move that you could try that could be an answer. So bear that stuff in mind. But with all that out of the way, now you got to go to step 2, which is, in my opinion, doing combo challenges and sample combos. You can either do them both or you can do just one. It doesn't really matter. I like to just do them both, so let's go ahead and do that. So I would have never even thought of that. Something like that still works, you know? Not terrible. But, so we did that. Now we want to go ahead and go through sample combos. Some of these are going to be exactly the same, so it's up to you to decide if you want to do them again or not. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And that's pretty much it, you know, and don't be afraid to experiment a little bit. But, and you're not really looking for combos in this step. I'll explain that more later. But what you are trying to do is familiarize yourself with some of the moves you can link together to form a combo. And maybe you'll find a few that you like, and maybe you'll stick with them. And maybe there's others that you can experiment with. Who knows? But it's a very, very important step. And this is kind of the part where it's like, if you feel like the combos and the moves are too janky, then maybe you should go for a different character. Whereas if you're still a little unsure, or you're enjoying the way things are feeling, then maybe continue to step 3, 4, and so on and so on. Step 3 is just going to be some high, mid, and low pokes. Try not to overthink this part. A lot of people will try to find a bunch of moves to go here. First of all, check and make sure that you have a 10 frame jab. In the bottom box, I guess, if you want to call it, the very top option, it says attack startup frames. Check and make sure that you got a 10 frame jab. Most characters do. I do believe there's only 1, maybe 2 characters, potentially 3, because 2 of them are palette swaps, essentially, where their jab is not 10 frame. So you do want to know what your fastest move is, and how to access it. So in our case, we do have a 10 frame jab, and that's what we want. And then as far as a mid, got a down forward 1, that's 13 frames, which is good. Not every character has that. And a quick little low poke. Usually a good start is just hitting down and 3 or down and 4, and then seeing what other options you have that also hit low. So in this case, this down back 3 seems pretty good. And that's it. Just a simple high, mid, low poke. You know, maybe a little something extra. But for the most part, that's pretty much it. Just make sure you know what those are. You can get very, very far with just a simple one jab, a solid mid, and a solid low. You'd be surprised. It's going to be step 4. This is going to be high, mids, and lows again, but this time you're looking for something with a little bit extra. What I'm saying, so there might not be anything fantastic about a high or a mid or a low, but check to see what your options are. This is where you might have to go through the move list again, just to kind of get a better idea of what options you have. Like for example, this up forward 1 that June has, it's a 10 frame move. It's very good. It's minus 14 on block, but it's 10 frames to come out. I can use this as a punish rather than an actual attack. And that has a little something extra. It's 10 frames and it's 36 damage. It wall splats, which is what that green icon means, right next to the damage, or above where it shows the damage, in the little gray box under me. But if that's not something you want to, if you don't like that, then maybe, you know, something like this, forward 4. It's a homing high. Doesn't seem to give you anything special on hit. I lied. You can keep it compact, or you can go into heat. So it's very, very nice having that extra option as well. So, and it doesn't even have to be a counter hit. Now that I'm seeing that. So that's really, really cool. And then another mid, you know, so something like this down forward 4, which I do believe is minus 14. But you also have this down forward 3 right here, which is minus 8. It's homing. That's very, very good. It might not do anything special on counter hit. It does knock down, but it does that on regular hit either way, so it doesn't really matter. You also have, you know, down forward 2, up forward 4-3. Let's see, forward 4-3. Very, very good options. Again, that solid mids that give you a little bit of extra. We're not worried about the frame data yet. This will be something to worry about in the future, but not while you're learning a character. The only thing you're really focusing on when it comes to quote-unquote frame data is if something is launch punishable, which is typically 15 frames or worse. If it's 10 to 12 frames, test it out. See if you can get away with it. If you can't, then you might have to come back to it. But if you can get away with it, then try it a little bit, you know, see if you like the move at all. But then, you know, the lows with a little bit of extra, you know, so there's like this back 1, for example, on counter hit gives me a guaranteed 44. And then there's this down forward 3 right here. And that's what you do. So step 4, looking for something with a little bit of extra. So forward 4 is a good one, for a good high. Forward 4-3 and forward 3 by itself, because it has the follow-ups. Back 1 and full crouch down forward 3, very good lows. And that's pretty much it. You know, you're finding something. So right now with our character, we have a total of 6 moves that we can go into a match and use. That's the idea. So we got, from step 3 and step 4, we got this, or this, and this, and this. So we got like 6 or 7 moves that we can pick to choose from. And that's already more than enough to get you by. So step 5, this one is a little bit on the trickier side because it's something that you might not even think about, which is to check your throws. So this is where you would need to go back into the move list and check and see what throws you have. This right here should tell you just about all your throws. There might be a few exceptions, but for the most part, which you want to. So basically, all the way from the first one to the one after where it says from behind is the same for every character. The only difference is the animations that come from them. So you want to check just below them, below that one option. So in this case, our White Mountain grab. This is the move that we're looking for. So this is going to be a 2 break, which is very, very nice because this will be a mix-up for our 1+2 break. And what's more is if you guys remember this back one from a little bit ago, you can actually cancel it by holding down. Why is this important? Because if I catch my opponent hesitating, I can cancel this and hit down back 1+2 and get a full and potentially get a full launch on them for hesitating. Almost 60 damage for them hesitating. And that was pretty much whatever. And then you got the stance grab. You're probably not going to use it too much, and if you do, if your opponent doesn't know that that's a 1+2 break, then it'll be a nice little 35 damage for free attack. And you got these reversals, which are important to know that they're there, and I would test them if you can. I have already tested them myself, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. But that's pretty much it. Just making sure you know what your throws are. And more importantly, what their properties are. So that one didn't do anything special, but this one, it shows a yellow icon under hit properties. That means it'll break the floor. So if I happen to be on a 4 break stage, I can get this off, get 40 damage, plus a 4 break, which would essentially turn this into a 40 damage launcher. Step 6 is going to be check your sidestep and your crouched moves. So basically, these are going to be the alternate situations you could find yourself in. Like, what if you sidestep an opponent's attack, or what if you crouch your opponent's attack? What options do you have from those situations? So it's always good to check that stuff out. You can always just try to do a sidestep and see what they have, or you can go into the move list, and there's going to be a section that hits somewhere. Usually it's going to be like right here, for example, like right after your running moves. It'll show you, this, and then shows you here while rising. We're not really looking at that yet. While crouching, not everybody has while crouching moves. So this is something to keep in mind. If your character has these, look at them, check them out. Stuff to keep in mind. This is a very good tool right here. I like this tool. Same with that. That's it. So, and then sidestep right here. So check your sidestep moves. See what you have. Like I said, don't worry about the frame data just yet. If you want to focus on frame data, be my guest. I'm just telling you, while you're first learning, don't worry about them. You're mostly just familiarizing yourself with the fact that they have these moves. That's pretty much it. So yeah, just go into your move list, look for sidestep and crouching moves, and see what they have and see if there's anything that sticks out to you, and just kind of keep going from there. All right, so for the 7th step is going to be while rising. Now, the reason I put this in its own section is because this is arguably even more important than knowing what the other 2 steps are. Because if you duck and your opponent whiffs something, or you block a low, it's good to know what your options are while you're trying to stand back up. Especially because if you're wanting to be more on the offensive, it's good to know what options you have. Some people don't have anything fantastic, or you don't want to end up throwing something out that's like, -20 or something like that on block, and you just throw it out aimlessly. It's good to know what your options are. Again, we're not really worried about frame data, but you still want to know what your options are. Maybe a nice little 50-50 might be nice. For example, right there, as you can see, it's -20. So I might want to make sure, I might want to, you know, ensure that I don't just randomly throw stuff like that out. You know, make sure I know what the risk is when I throw something like that out. And as I mentioned before with the sidestepping and crouching, there's always a section that lets you know what moves you have when you are rising, right here, for example. Some characters have more, some characters have less. June has quite a bit while rising, which is an indicator that they want you to use these moves. Characters like Horong, I think he only has like 4 or 5 moves, nothing super fantastic, but then you see a move set like this where there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 moves just while rising. They're typically telling you that there's a little bit of a mix-up here. There's a reason to go into crouched and mess with your opponent. Your 8th step is going to be power crushes and homing moves. The reason I pointed this out is because for the most part, these moves are fairly easy to find. As far as homing moves are concerned, you're looking for a move with the blue icon all the way to the right with the little circle. That indicates that it's a homing move. You typically want to know how it's a homing move. Like, is it the first attack a homing move, second, third, fifth, whatever? Is the homing move safe? Is it a high, low, mid? Can it get parried, etc., etc.? In this case, it's the last attack. It's good to know that it is in fact a homing move, because you know, that means that your opponent can't duck it or can't sidestep it. And then power crushes are relatively similar. As far as power crushes are concerned, you're looking for moves like this, where at the very right of the move, you can see that there's a little character inside of a shield. That means it's a power crush. That means if your opponent tries to attack into it, it'll absorb the attack. And what's more is that most of these power crushes are going to be mid and -12 on block. That's something to keep in mind. If they're highs or special properties, for example, my bad, something like this where the move itself is actually a little bit more useful, but it's -13 on block, it might be something I would try to avoid. Same with this. You can see that it's a power crush, but it is -12. So you just want to be very, very careful throwing these out, but they're a good way to more or less defend and attack at the same time. You just got to keep in mind that in a lot of situations like that, there's just as much risk as there is reward in certain situations. So that's stuff to keep in mind. So power crushes and homing moves. So you got moves like, you know, the back 3, 4, Genjutsu 2, and what is it? Izumo, yeah. 2. So being a -12, that kind of sucks, but it's always good to see what the payoff is. So this splats on the ground a little bit, and it looks like it'll knock him back up against the wall, which is very, very nice. So for the 9th step, this is probably going to be one of the easier ones to deal with, but you're pretty much going to do your heat moves and your rage moves. Now, rage is pretty much all the same, so I was very hesitant to add it, but it's still good to know that it's there and how you can use it. But for the most part, it's mostly about figuring out your heat stuff, what activates heat and whatnot. So it's very, very good to know what those options are. So make sure you guys are going through and seeing what exactly they are. Again, don't worry about their frame data right this second. You're just mostly focused on what they are. So that includes the moves in heat as well, what you can get out of them. So keep that kind of stuff in mind and check them out, experiment with them a little bit, see what you can get out of them. And so this brings us to our last main step. There are other steps to keep in mind, but this is the last one to really focus on when you're learning a new character, getting into Tekken and whatnot. And for this one, this is going to be combos, combos, combos. Typically, every character has a combo route. Some characters are blessed with easier combo routes, while others are blessed with more damage, and others are simply not meant to be combo monsters, unfortunately. That's just the way it goes. But for the most part, every character should be able to get around that 60 damage mark without rage, without heat. And that's typically what you want to try to build up to. So if you want to do something like this, something like that, get you that 60 damage. Try to get that little bit of extra damage in there. Try to get like I said, about 60 is pretty good. If you can't make it further than that, then honestly, that's fine. 60 is more than enough, especially once you factor in walls and floor breaks and stuff like that. You'll definitely get opportunities to get that little bit of extra beefier damage. And this is referring off to like your weakest launcher, your weakest, or I guess probably like your most common launcher. So for June, it would probably be your down forward 2, or up forward 4-3, and her forward 2 will probably be the 3 big ones for her. Maybe her wall rising 4 as well would be a big one. So these would be, typically ways that I would want to explore, trying to figure out how I would, get some beefier damage. You get that little bit of extra damage. And just, you're just simply trying to find combos. Don't worry about getting creative yet or anything like that. Just, typical launcher, combo route, heat, rage, so on and so on. And just try, more than anything, get the muscle memory with those combos. And also make sure you're always practicing on both sides, if I didn't mention that already. Always practice on both sides. All right, so from here on out, everything that I am teaching you guys is going to be very character dependent. So everything I taught you guys before should be, for the most part, the same for every single character. There should be no differences whatsoever, aside from the potential 10 frame jab, 13 frame down forward 1. And aside from those minor discrepancies, everything else should have been about the same. This is where things will start to change. This will pretty much be completely character dependent. For example, our step 11 is going to be your punishment and your wall rising punishment. So the way I usually look at this is your 10 frame, your 12 to 13 frame. I say 12 to 13 because not everybody has a 12 frame. So you might have to rely on a 13 frame, in which case you'll pretty much switch back and forth between your 10 frame and your 13 frame, and a 15 frame. June, unfortunately, does not have a 15 frame launcher. She has this little 13 frame thing. I thought she had something else, but I might have forgotten about it already. But 15 frame is typically going to be your fastest launcher. Again, she doesn't have anything fantastic. This is a 13 frame punishment, which is good. She also has this up forward 1, which is a 10 frame punish. But when she has with her while rising, she actually has a 10 frame down forward 1, which you can use. You can also do the up forward 1. It's pretty much the same thing. I think they do about the same damage. And then, but typically you would look for your 11 frame. So this is still important to know, even though June does have a 10 frame full crouch punish. It's still good to know. It's still good to know that this is here. And then 15, which would typically be your launcher. June actually has a 14 frame launcher in the form of Wall Rising 3, which is very, very good. So definitely going to take advantage of that when we can. I don't know what just happened there, but I'm not gonna worry about it. So that's pretty much it. So you're basically going to focus on your punishment. Your main one's going to be your 10 frame, your 13 frame, and your 15 frame. Not everybody's going to have a 15 frame launcher. Some people are going to have a faster than 15 frame launcher, while others are going to have a slower launcher. But then you also have characters like June, who while crouched has a faster than 15 frame launcher, while other characters won't have a launcher that quick either. So it just kind of depends. So and then when you're crouched, typically it's 11 frame and 15 frame. But if you happen to have something in between them that's useful, that's always a plus as well. So your step 12, now this one is a little trickier. And again, just like with the previous step, some characters are going to have more tools here than others. For example, this is the one I was thinking. It sucks that it's hot launch behind a stance, but you can see that like when you do this attack, you can see how low she gets. This is typically what you would consider to be an evasive move, because I imagine that if the Huarong player, were to try to do a jab, that it would whiff and she would get her launch. This is something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind as well is stuff like this. It might have a bit of a low evasion. And then this is a parry. So characters like June who have a myriad of parries, there's something to keep in mind as well, so that you know what you're looking for. Because if say you're going up against a law player and he loves to throw out I'm a dragon grab. If you know he's going for that grab, you throw this parry out. This parry automatically breaks throws. See? Automatically. So that's the idea, is like, they're gonna throw out a grab. You just simply go into your stance and do what you're gonna do. Or that they're gonna do a low. Then you do a low crushing move, which is a move that is meant to avoid lows, or a high crush, which again is a move that's designed to avoid highs, and so on and so on. And those are the moves you're looking for. Again, this is a little bit on the trickier side, and you might have to go through your move list. And this is kind of one of those things where, for the most part, there's not going to really be a visual cue. You're pretty much just going to have to pay attention to, like, if I do this move, do they crouch down? Like so. You could see her head is below my belt, so it probably avoids quite a few highs. And I'm sure that it's coming. Please keep the jokes that I know are coming in my comments respectful. I'm not going to stay clean, because that's just too much, but let's at least try to keep them somewhat respectful as much as we can, because I feel like that's gonna I feel like a few comments coming my way. Anyways, and then same with evasive stuff. So like, if I go over here to Huang real quick, this back one right here, this is considered to be more of an evasive tool, because you throw it out when you think your opponent's going to attack, and this avoids a lot of dumb stuff. So that's stuff to keep in mind as well. So, all right, and for our last step, I want to say this is like step 13. There's going to be like wall enders, special situational enders. For example, we're at the underground arena with the wall blasts, for example. So knowing how to capitalize on those situations is fairly ideal. You don't need to experiment with every single thing right away. You should at least have a wall combo though, at the very, very least. For example, you at least want to have something. That way you can capitalize on the damage. Them being knocked away like that is usually not ideal. So it might not be the worst idea to see if you can find something a little bit that keeps them kind of close to you so you can continue pressure, because when their backs to the wall like this, they should feel pressured. They should feel the inability to be able to backdash or to sidestep a certain way. So you definitely don't want to just give it up unless you're gonna like really make it count. And then, like I said, maybe learn some situational stuff. For example, something like that to get that little bit of extra damage. So even though I did get him away from the wall, I was able to make it hurt quite a bit by getting them, further away from the wall. Something like that to kind of really make it hurt, And as I was saying before, those are just a couple examples. And when you're learning your character, these are all steps that you can, for the most part, do with your character. Like I said, some characters have different properties than others, but for the most part, if you stick with those guidelines, it should help you out quite a bit. But that is going to be it from me, guys. I do appreciate you guys stopping by. Hopefully you guys learned something, and hopefully this video wasn't too long. I do apologize if it was. I do want to thank you guys for joining me, stopping by. Again, if you guys learned something or enjoyed it, consider liking and subscribing. I think that's going to be about it, guys. Thank you guys for stopping by. I'll catch you guys in the next stream or video. Take care of yourselves. Happy gaming, and peace.